The Sixth Circuit has its way with Joe Biden's vaccine mandate on a day where he just can't catch a break anyway. So we'll talk about all the stuff that fell apart right before Christmas for the Biden admin and the win that it brought to the American people that aren't Joe Biden. In other news, let's see, what else do we see here? It looks like the federal government will be giving federal aid to Kansas, which is good because it looks like they really need it. DeWine is going to veto an Ohio bill that prohibits employers from making some sort of vaccine mandate. And a TikTok school threat for today makes its rounds and several schools closed because of it. Plus, I have the names of everybody who chatted in the live chat throughout the week here, and we will look at the live chat for today as well. It is going to be all this and more. Let's go, Brandon. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got quite the stack of news to go over here today. I fully admit we're probably not going to get to all of it, but we're going to get to some of it here and talk over the big stuff, especially the failure after failure for the Biden admin that happened just in the last 24 hours, which I think is good. And I mean, obviously it's a good thing that it got down and it's found a way to get the relief out to the people of Kansas, because that's the important part right here. But, you know, all this other iron fist kind of stuff here is just kind of falling apart one right after another here. And we'll talk about all of it over here on Contemporary. And by the way, I want to point out here before we get started here, if you guys had got just 3 more people watching, if you'd have told 3 friends, this page, I would have run out of lines at one point on one of these columns, on one of these 2 columns here this week. We had a lot of new people in here, a lot of people coming up here. So I always say, tell a few friends, get them in here, even if they don't agree with the kind of stuff that you agree with here. Let's have the discussion. That's what we have live chat for, is to have the discussion. I don't read the live chat during the show, unfortunately, because I know that with Twitch and the leftoid trolls that sometimes they're going to come in here and they're going to try to derail the conversation. And I have a hard enough time finishing out the stack already as we go here, and I know that pisses them off a little bit too, but I mean, get them in here, have the discussion, discuss what's going on, and let them come out here and discuss how they feel about everything else that goes with that. That's what we have live chat for. And I do read every single live chat you guys put out here, by the way. Even if I don't do it on air, I do sit down after I get home from work afterwards and read every single comment you guys leave, because it helps me decide where to take the show, what to do with that, and what news is important to you and what isn't. Sometimes people have come out here and said, hey, this happened here. Is it on the stack? And it isn't. And I say, no, throw a link in the Discord. Or I go back and I research it myself after this. I do read every single comment that you guys put out here. So I know what's going on. And by the way, before we get started, I want to say a special happy birthday to friend of the show, Quest Fanning, who is probably in the chat. I don't have the chat up here just yet. But Quest Fanning, happy birthday to Quest Fanning, and happy birthday to Seawall728. Also his birthday today. So happy birthday to the both of them. And I also want to say special congratulations to Beat Me Up Mr. Scott, who's in here every once in a while occasionally, who just found out through adoption that he has a sister that he never knew about, and he's almost 40. So that's a special congratulations. That's awesome for you guys. Definitely love to be here for the good news, because I give you guys so much bad news. So much news that makes you sad, that makes you angry, that makes you hate the government. So it's a good thing that we get some really good news. I'm really happy for you. Beat me up, Mr. Scott. I really am. I'm not going to take your advice and not speed anymore, but I'm really happy for you that you found a sister. That's awesome. That's amazing. All right, let's get started, shall we? I think we should. Starting with TurnsandPagesProductions.com. So, head on over, turnsofpagesproductions.com. I gotta get Bobby Joe to kick the timer again and get it started back over. But go over there, check out the website, bookmark the website here. A new fundraiser coming this weekend. We're going to look for our regular $2,000 like we first initially looked for. I'm going to set the goal back at $2,000. That way we've got a little bit of operating capital as well to start off with here. But we want to start off the new year with a new website and a great place where you can find aggregations of great shows such as the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the R-Rated Conservative, the Freckles and Brit Show, and the Porch Boys. Go check out all of those shows. They are great friends to liberty. They are great friends to freedom. They're great friends to everything that the left stands against right now. And they're great friends to me. That should be enough of a reason right there. So go check out all those shows. Unfortunately, and it's kind of lame, I don't get to see the Daily Ignoramus anymore because, the headphone ban at work now. So I can't listen to him while I'm at work. I don't get to hang out with you guys over there. We don't get to raid anymore, but he's got to work with what's best for him, and big congratulations on his big show last night, too. I caught some of that last night, so that was pretty awesome. But go check out all those shows and check out the website as well. Starting Monday, we will have the fundraiser up here. I think I know what I need to know to do run with Give, Send, Go, so we will see what goes on with that. All right, let's look in at the finance for the morning. The Dow, surprisingly, wound up being down. It was barely down. It barely broke on the downward trend, but it was an interesting day yesterday because a lot of people were taking a victory lap on the Dow saying, oh, well, now that they're going to do the bond taper, everything is going to go back up. And well, it didn't. It did spend most of the day up throughout the day, and we cleared 36,000 once again throughout the day. But it fell off below the 35,900 mark to 35,897.64 with an intraday low of 35,806.58. So there is some stuff shaking here. There's some stuff moving. It looks like tech was a big lag for all three of the major indices, so we'll talk about that once we get into IBD's article. Your Bitcoin is at $47,054 US dollars and 10 US cents. Another drop in the Bitcoin throughout the day as we look into what happens with the infrastructure bill and how that's going to get taxed. Scrap metal took a turn for the positive with copper on the upswing. Steel is still on the average on the downswing, and aluminum also back up on the upswing. Looking in at all of your coppers here, all copper except for brass shells took a turn to the upwards. BX steel took a turn to the upwards. Light iron is down. Number one steel is down. All of your other steel plates are down. On aluminum, clean and aluminum copper fin radiators are up, but it looks like there's still a lot of red over in the aluminum side, so I'm not sure why the average is up here. On other plays, electric motors, ballast, lead are down. Car batteries are up. All catalytic converters are up, compressors are down, alternators are down, carbide is down, hard drives, motherboards, power supplies are down. Mixed market throughout all of the rest of your steel, but these are the big ones that you guys are going to see as we come in here. So that's what we see coming out of aluminum. Let's see what IBD has to say. NASDAQ futures lead early declines as Merck props Dow Jones, Cerner, FedEx rally. From Alan R. Elliott. NASDAQ 100 futures led early declines Friday with Merck and other medical sector stocks helping hold S&P 500 and Dow futures to more modest losses. Medical software leader Cerner rallied on merger chatter, FedEx rallied on earnings, Darden Restaurants and Winnebago Industries were mixed after their early earnings reports. So apparently a bunch of people went to the Olive Garden. That is a Darden property, by the way. I was actually thinking about, before I came out west here, going and working in Olive Garden just because where I was working, I was not making enough money. On purpose, they were trying to keep me down. They were trying to get me to quit. I'm convinced. But they were trying to get me, that way they don't have to pay unemployment. Because they're kind of assholes like that. But I was thinking about going and working in Olive Garden. They have an extensive application process for Olive Garden. More than you would think for a corporate restaurant, but it was good, and I had an in there as well because my roommate at the time was working there, and she was pursuing her art degree, which means she was pursuing a degree in Olive Garden management. So that's what we see off of that. On NASDAQ 100 futures dropped 1% in early trade. Dow Jones futures dipped 0.4% below fair value. S&P 500 futures showed a 0.7% loss. Oracle and Cerner bookended the S&P 500 after the Wall Street Journal said the two companies were discussing a possible $30 billion combination. Cerner soared 18%, leading the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500. Oracle dropped more than 4%. FedEx rallied hard. Yeah, I know, Randy, you love your Olive Garden takeout. I have been on a Discord call with you while you're trying to get Olive Garden takeout. Let's see. FedEx rallied hard, up 5.8% after delivering above forecast fiscal second quarter results. Late Thursday, UPS gained 1.6% in the updraft. Stocks on the IBD 50 and leaderboard list are traded generally lower on Friday. Among leaderboard stocks, Nvidia fell more than 2%. Airbnb was down 1.9%. Among leading stocks to watch, Expeditors International Washington remained in a buy range after retaking a buy point. Charlie Schwab and West Fraser Timber closed below buy points in a fully formed bases. On the Dow Jones today, Merck climbed to the head of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, up more than 1%. The drug makers Keytruda received a positive opinion from the EU's Committee for Medicinal Products for Human Use as a treatment for adults with renal cell carcinoma. Merck is sitting on a 4-day advance, up 4.5% for the week, as it looks to end a 4-week slide. Johnson & Johnson dropped 1.5% to the bottom of the Dow after the CDC recommended the COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer or Moderna over Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. Really? Because, to my understanding, and this is the reason we got the Dave Chappelle joke in his last special, that they've always recommended Pfizer and Moderna over Johnson & Johnson. What is it that Chappelle said? Of course, I'm not going to say the N-word, obviously, because Susan is watching. Of course I went out and got Johnson & Johnson. I got the third best option. Good enough. Among Dow Jones nearby points, Apple slipped 0.8%, Nike and Home Depot each dropped 0.1%. Thursday's harsh market sell-off left the Nasdaq Composite down 2.5% and the S&P 500 0.9% lower, while the Dow Jones Industrials held to a loss of less than 0.1%. But there were some winners for the day. Steelmakers and ore miners rallied during the session. Steel Dynamics rallied 6% on Thursday. Nucor gained 5.3%. U.S. Steel rose 3.8%, and Cleveland Cliffs climbed 3.6%. Nucor, Steel Dynamics, and U.S. Steel had all previously triggered the automatic sell rule by breaking out, then falling more than 8% below their buy points. On Friday morning, Steel Dynamics and Nucor reached down less than 1%. Cleveland Cliffs showed a 2% loss. U.S. Steel slumped 5%. Lame. Gold miners led a rally among mining stocks on Thursday, although others did well. Silver miner Newmont notched an 8.8% gain, with Agnico Eagle and Wheaton Precious Metals up more than 4% apiece. Newmont and Wheaton each gained 0.2% early Friday. Stocks to watch: Schwab, Expeditors, and West Fraser. Do we have futures? No, there's no futures in this article. So that's what we see coming off of that. There's a lot of stuff moving here. Looks like the futures are going to start down, but not down as much as they were. Thank you, Alan R. Elliott, for your article. Let's have a look at a suggestion for what to do about the trucking shortage. Shipping CEO, the best solution to global supply chain chaos. Opinion by Vincent Clerk for CNN Business Perspectives. Almost everything you buy has traveled along some of the millions of miles of networks that make up the world's supply chains. Most of the time, the logistics involved in making this possible are invisible and kept behind the scenes. But these days, supply chains are front and center as companies cope with a pandemic-induced shift in consumer behavior from experiences to goods that has left supply chains strained. A lot of attention is focused on ports and other infrastructure, as well as shortages of trucks and labor. Those are important bottlenecks that need further investments to be fixed, but they are symptomatic of a deeper problem. What is the global supply chain really suffering from, and what is behind most of the problems today is lack of technology. Oh boy. The current technology being used has left companies and supply chain providers with little cargo visibility, a lack of supply chain integration, and hardly any ability to anticipate and alleviate problems. Giving the supply chains its own cloud moment is where it is completely rethought and upgraded. They already have that, by the way, and will improve life not just for businesses but also for their customers. Okay, who are you getting paid for? Paid by, Vincent Clerk. Global supply chains have long been complex, modular, and siloed networks that focus on keeping up with capacity demands and optimizing for cost, efficiency, and scale. They are designed to work in a certain way and can withstand known challenges, but when tested by unexpected events like the Pinko fucking Pox, they are incredibly fragile. They are built for a world in balance, which I don't understand why, at least on the trucking side, there was such a problem with this because... Okay, I understand, yes, it kind of put a damper on team drivers. I understand that. But let's be realistic here. You sit alone in the truck. And if it's really that big of a deal, you can have your dock workers load and unload, and you don't have to get out of the cab. Hell, all you have to do is put a CB in the dock. And then Mr. Dude never has to get out of his cab for a goddamn thing. You have somebody bring out the paperwork with a mask, and that's the end of it. That's a way. Not more technology, less technology. And when imbalances occur, which is unfortunately often the case, they're simply not resilient enough to withstand disruptions and delays. The pandemic has accelerated and magnified the challenges that have already existed. Today, logistics professionals across all types of companies need to work through a myriad of different suppliers, platforms, systems, and solutions to source and ship products to customers. Just think about the e-commerce growth we're currently seeing and what that means for companies. A clothing company that was used to distributing merchandise to their store in the past now has to be able to ship directly to customers across the globe or to one of their retail locations for same-day pickup, and then also prepare for the possible returns of orders. Yeah, I don't like any of this here because, here's one. Automakers are a perfect example of how certain industries could simplify their operations and reduce redundancies. The world produced almost 80 million cars last year. A typical car consists of as many as 30,000 individual parts. From the screws to the windshield, and to add to the complexity, each car company has invested heavily into building its own version of supply chain to manage its operations. Instead, these companies should be tapping into a global infrastructure solution that could meet their needs. It's not so different from the cloud revolution a decade ago, where companies realized it was not good business to invest in building their own cloud, but rather partner with the global cloud providers that had the necessary scale. Oh, interesting. So you're saying that instead of having one weak point where somebody can hack in and fuck the entire world supply chain, we could have millions of weak points. I actually got that backward. Instead of having different ways that companies can come through here and secure their own supply chains, that they can secure their own technology, that they can secure their... Because there are a million different networks for every company, every supplier, everything else. And every single one of them has to find their own solution to do so that works best for their company. There is one weak point that everybody can get into every single supply chain from. One central nexus where everybody can get in and say, ooh, I'm going to screw with this screw shipment, I'm going to screw with this windshield shipment, I'm going to screw with this water bottle shipment. One access point. But yeah, for the most part, this is all bring it into the global cloud system and make everything just one big system. Let's globalize everything. We don't need millions of different companies. We just need one big company, is what I'm hearing from this. But that's what we see off that. I can't see the highlighted messages, by the way, just so you know. I suppose I could turn on the Twitch stream and see the highlighted messages, but oh yeah, there we go. Randy's sending highlighted messages and sending me biddies, by the way. I don't know how that works. I don't know if anything is coming off of that. No, I'm not getting bits. I'm just getting regular redeemed ed points, but yeah, I can't see those on the Restream bot. So just a little heads up on the technology here before we get into the big news of the day. So this is what we see when we see the highlighted message. I see that it's down there, but I don't usually have this window up. I usually have the music up over on this screen. But yes, I can see your highlighted messages over here. Stock that back where that belongs. But I can't see it here. That's the thing. This is the chat window that I'm usually watching. But I do appreciate it. I do appreciate you guys using your points over there too. That's awesome. Thank you. All right, but that's what we see coming off of that. That's your finance for the morning. Let's start by listening to the patron saint of medicine giving those who are vaccinated his permission to go hang out with their families.
Hang in there. This will end. We can get through even a winter surge by implementing the countermeasures that we have: vaccinations, boosters, masking in indoor settings, being prudent in caring, for example, about wearing a mask indoors. You can enjoy the holiday season with your family if you're vaccinated and your family members are vaccinated. Hang in there. This will end. We can get through even.
You can go out there and enjoy your family. You can go hang out with your family if you're fully vaccinated. But if you're not, you just be that second-class citizen and hunker down in your home. And never get out of there. Just hunker down. Never fucking leave until you go and get your vaccine, okay? That's what I'm recommending for you. Even though I said that you should probably wait for the vaccine if it came out under Trump. And, of course, you shouldn't be wearing a mask. If you're out there if you think wearing a mask is going to be good for you, you better just save them there for the healthcare professionals. But now I'm telling you, every single time that you sit out and you breathe the fresh air, it better be through a mask. Even if you're fully vaccinated, because that doesn't actually mean anything, except for the fact that I need you to get 17 fucking boosters. There you go. You have your permission from Saint Anthony of Fauci, the patron saint of medicine. All right. For the title of today's show, from the Daily Wire, Sixth Circuit chief tears apart Biden's COVID mandate for private companies as court denies full hearing. From Tim Pierce. The Sixth Circuit of Appeals declined Wednesday to hear en banc the case against the president's rule forcing large private employers to vaccinate or COVID-19 test their employees. The Daily Small Hat was the first to challenge the Biden mandate in the Sixth Circuit, is the lead plaintiff in the case against the federal rule after the Sixth Circuit was picked by lottery to consolidate and oversee the rule's numerous legal challenges. The Daily Wire and others petitioned the court to hear the case en banc, or in front of all 16 judges on the court, for a vote on the case, citing the extraordinary nature of the Biden admin's mandate. The full court voted 8-8 on the petition, denying the request, which needed a clear 9-vote majority to proceed. Judge Karen Nelson Moore wrote that the majority opinion, joined by 4 other judges on the court, arguing that an en banc hearing on this case is unnecessary and impractical. In a dissent signed by half the court's judges, Chief Judge Jeffrey Sutton expressed deep skepticism in the Biden's order's legality. However, Moore wrote in part, "In a case as important, accelerated, and briefing-filled as this one, however, gathering all hands on deck would have strained the resources of the 16 active judges, requiring each of us to review the voluminous record and relevant underlying legal doctrines. What's more, it would have done so for no discernible purpose. The case already sits before 3 thoughtful, independent judges on the panel, who spent the last weeks steeped in the matter. We properly leave the matter in their hands." 3 members of the court voted against granting the en banc hearing, but did not join Moore's majority opinion. The judges' reticence to opine on the case suggests that some or all the judges, Jane Stranch, Julia Gibbons, and Richard Griffin, may be the 3-judge panel currently overseeing the case, according to legal experts. Sutton wrote a lengthy dissent, joined by 7 remaining judges on the Sixth Circuit's decision. Sutton's 26-page dissent not only argues in favor of an en banc hearing, but critiques the federal government's case, as well as signaling at least half the court is deeply skeptical of the Biden's mandate's legality. Sutton argues that the Biden mandate, which would force roughly 80 million Americans to be vaccinated, tested weekly, or forced out of their jobs, does not meet the clear statement rule that Congress must explicitly grant an agency sweeping authority before drastic action to be taken. Congress did not clearly grant the Secretary of Labor authority to impose the vaccine or test mandates, Sutton wrote. He continued, "It is one thing to tell a worker to don a mask at the start of a hazard-filled shift and doff it at the end." Doff. That's a word that doesn't get used enough anymore. It is quite another to tell a worker to vaccinate on the basis of a risk that exists, whether he is on the clock or off, and that amounts to a medical procedure that cannot be removed at the end of the shift. Confirming the point, the Secretary of Labor has never imposed a vaccine mandate, or, for that matter, a vaccine or test mandate on American workers. The Occupational Safety and Health Act does not give, clearly, the Secretary power to regulate all health risks and all new health hazards largely through off-site medical procedures, so long as the individual goes to work and may face the hazard in the course of a workday. Hear, hear. Exactly. And that's one of those things, too, that goes off with this. This is for a permanent medical procedure that affects you in and off the job. And the OSHA has no mandate over your regular life, what you do in your pedestrian life. They have a mandate over what you do at the job. Now, that doesn't mean that your private company, the company that you work for, doesn't have a mandate in and of itself. They're a private company, and you choose whether to generate revenue for them or not. And you should not be generating revenue for a company that fucking hates you. I understand it's a good job. That's something you need to weigh in your decision. That is something you need to weigh as to whether or not you can continue to generate revenue for them, is the level and the quality of revenue that they generate for you. There are a lot of things that go along with this on making this decision. And for those of you who are in situations where it is the fact that, okay, the employer is coming out here and mandating this, I respect your struggle. I don't have that struggle. I don't. Because my company pulled out the stops to make sure that we didn't have to go through this, because they knew they were going to lose a large percentage of their workforce if they did. In a niche specialized field, that's very, very hard to replace workforce for. They knew, and they went and they assessed their level of risk and everything that they had to do. I'm not going to pretend it's an easy decision. I can't make the decision for you. I can't come out and tell you to quit your job because your job hates you. You have to make the decision whether it's worth it. It's worth it to lose that revenue stream or not. But going back to the dissenting opinion here, yes. This is OSHA trying to mandate what you do outside the job. Yeah, if your job wants to, especially if you're customer facing, force you to put a mask on and sit there and talk like this every time you talk to one of your customers and, oh no, what can we do? Can I get you your Cold Stone, please? If your employer wants to mandate that you do this for everybody and you have to talk through the piece of cloth or the cloth mask or even the Darth Vader mask, that's on them, and that is on the OSHA side, because that directly affects what happens while you're on the floor. I don't agree with it, but it directly affects what happens while it's down there. It is within the purview of the overhyped and overpowered OSHA that was put back in the 70s and 80s. But as far as it goes now, what you do with your body outside of your job is none of your job's business. So, this is the case, and we're going to start to see where this goes. Sutton's opinion also argues that a stay on the mandate, first issued by the Fifth Circuit before the case consolidated in the Sixth, should remain in place while the legal challenges play out. Judge John Bush, who joined the Chief Judge's dissent, also wrote his own dissent, taking Sutton's argument a step further, claiming that Congress could never have granted the Biden admin the authority to enforce its COVID-19 order on private employers. Bush began his dissent. This is a case about the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, but it is really a case about power. Specifically, it concerns the attempted exercise of a purported power to impose a de facto national vaccine mandate upon some 80 million Americans that OSHA was never given and that Congress likely could never have given to it. Chief Justice Sutton's dissent ably explains the former defect, and so I join it in full. I write separately to address the latter. Whether it uses a clear statement or not, Congress has likely no authority under the Commerce Clause to impose, much less delegate the imposition of a de facto national vaccine mandate upon the American public. Such claimed authority runs contrary to the text and structure of the Constitution and historical practice. The regulation of health and safety through a compulsory vaccination is a traditional prerogative of the states, not the domain of Congress, and certainly not fodder for the diktat of a federal administrative agency, because we should have granted initial hearing en banc to vindicate the correct understanding of the Constitution and cabin OSHA to its legitimate role. I respectfully dissent. A lot of information that goes along with that. A lot of stuff that goes there, but yes, to boil it down, Congress has no standing and no mandate to do so, and if they do have some sort of standing or mandate to do so, it comes from your state assemblies. It does not come from the federal government. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. I do want to be famous. Bruh, I'm just trying to be famous. Razorfist made me famous yesterday. Razorfist retweeted me. Alright, talking some more about trucking. Biden admin to unveil trucking action plan Thursday amidst labor shortages. From Donald Judd. The Biden admin will unveil its trucking action plan on Thursday in an effort to address supply chain challenges that have plagued the White House for months. The plan is the product of the admin's Supply Chain Disruptions Task Force, a group chaired by Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttplug, and Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack. According to a fact sheet provided by the White House, the plan will tackle long-standing workforce challenges in the trucking industry, including high turnover rates, an aging workforce, long hours away from home, and time spent waiting, often unpaid, to load and unload at congested ports, warehouse, and distribution centers. Truckers move 71% of the U.S. economy's goods. I think it's more than that, per industry estimates, but the COVID pandemic saw a spike in labor shortages for the industry, with one trucking association CEO telling CNN the sector is short 80,000 drivers. A record high if nothing is done. The latest figures put the industry on track for a shortage of 160,000 drivers by 2030, and the need for 1 million new drivers over the next 10 years, according to the American Trucking Associations. Thursday's plan will focus on improving pathways to entering the industry and improving job quality once the industry. One senior administration official said Wednesday, taking steps to offer $30 million in federal funding to expedite issuance of commercial driver's licenses, launch a 90-day challenge aimed at increasing trucking apprentices through the Department of Labor, increase outreach efforts to veterans through the VA, and establish a joint initiative between the Department of Labor and Transportation to expand recruitment and advocate for employees. The admin will kick off the action plan with a White House roundtable Thursday where Buttplug, Marty Walsh, the Labor Secretary, and NEC Director Brian Deese will discuss issues facing the trucking industry. So, just reading into this, seeing what we had right here, it looks like the Biden admin, in all of its infinite wisdom, has identified that there's a problem in the trucking industry and decided, rather than to actually address it, the fact that it's overregulated. Hell, you have to take your driving test in a manual transmission in order to get an endorsement on your license that says you're allowed to drive a manual transmission. That is in spite of the fact that if you're going for a big company right now and they're sponsoring your CDL, it's almost impossible to find a manual transmission vehicle to do this with. I luckily got my CDL before that rule went into effect. And I did take mine on an automatic. I took my CDL test on a truck with an automated transmission. It's little shit like that where you're going to start to find problems. And I understand deep down why they're actually doing this, because most of your newer vehicles are automated and they don't want you driving the older vehicles that still have the manual transmissions. I understand the logic behind what they're trying to do, but seriously, don't throw money at it. Go start taking back some of the restrictions. And hell, get the federal government out of it entirely. Let the states go back to CDL licensing for what it is that they need. Yes, I understand it's interstate commerce, and there does need to be some federal oversight to go with it, but, you know, and turn down some of the obtuse and insane regulations at the scale. I understand if you find a broken spring at a scale. I understand that if a brake chamber is broken, the truck might not be able to stop. I get those safety violations. But if you're going to put a truck out of service because he's got 75 LED lights on his trailer and only 74 of them work, that's a little bit ridiculous. I'm telling you. Turn down some of this shit. But they're not going to do that because that's easy revenue generating for the state. I don't know, but that's what they see off of this. Is there do we have an issue with moderation here? What's going on? I just see something about channel moderation settings. Anyway. We'll solve that as that goes. Let's keep going here. From Fox Business. Biden suggests mega spending bill likely to miss end-of-year deadline. From Kyle Morris. President Biden indicated Friday that he and Democrats will likely not meet their goal of passing a roughly $2 trillion social spending bill by the end of the year, saying it would be finished over the next days and weeks, while the focus turns to other things. Joe Manchin and fellow moderates, Senator Kyrsten Sinema, are considered key holdouts on the measure. Known as the Build Back Bullshit bill, Manchin has repeatedly expressed concern about the legislation's cost, warning a broad spending package would be fiscally irresponsible given rising inflation. With Republicans united in opposition, all 50 Democrats must back the bill for it to pass. We will advance this work together over the days and weeks ahead. Leader Schumer and I are determined to see the bill successfully on the floor as early as possible, Biden said in a statement. We must get Build Back Better passed, even in the face of Republican opposition. At the same time, we must also press forward on voting rights legislation and make progress on this as quick as possible. Biden said the work would continue to try to convince Manchin, with whom Biden has talked to at least 3 times this week, to support the measure. So that's telling me that this is going to get pushed off to next year. And they're going to try to spend in an election year, with inflation on the focus. I think this bill is dead in the fucking water. And I think, and we might have to walk this back next year, but I think it's safe for us to say, to bid a fond farewell to this bill. I think it was a good try, nice try, everything else off of this, but people realize what this was and where this was with inflationary spending. If I have to walk it back, let me know. But for now, I think that's what's going to happen with this bill. We'll see what happens with that. Let's grab one from our friends over here at NPR. And don't forget that even if you can't get taxed out of your money for the Build Back Better bill, you can still give it over to NPR and help them spread the ideas of communism, progressivism, and socialism around the country. Let's get rid of that capitalist system where you can decide to give money to NPR and usher in a new system where NPR is state radio and you're forced to give your money, I mean our money, comrade, to NPR. National Progressive Radio, never printing a reality, says Democrats are forced to regroup as Biden's signature spending bill stalls. This is from Kelsey Snell, Deirdre Walsh, and Alana Wise. Let's see what it is that they have to say. President Biden, in a Thursday evening statement, acknowledged the roadblocks to his nearly $2 trillion spending package faced, saying it could take weeks before the package was ready for a vote. Still, he said he would continue to push the bill to get enough Democratic support to pass the Senate. I am the Senate! Unlimited power, or something. It takes time to finalize these arguments, prepare the legislative changes, and finish all the parliamentary and procedural steps needed to enable a Senate vote. We will advance this work together over the days and weeks ahead, Biden said. The statement came after the Senate Democrats appeared on the verge of abandoning their pledge to pass Biden's plan before Christmas. Senate Majority Leader Chuck U. Schumer had insisted over the past several weeks that the bill would pass the Senate before the holidays, but Democrats have been unable to convince Manchin, the key holdout in the bill, to pledge his support. Schumer avoided admitting defeat this week as it became clear the plans for the vote were slipping. The bottom line is that there are good discussions going on, Schumer told reporters on Wednesday. We are moving with progress. But by Thursday afternoon, little progress had been made. And don't forget that you do need to donate to NPR. We got far enough in the article they had to remind you because you haven't donated yet. So donate now. Biden said he'd spoken to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and briefed them on the discussions, and he and his staff have had it with Manchin. In these discussions, Senator Manchin has reiterated his support for Build Back Better funding at the level of the framework plan announced in September, Biden said. I believe that we will bridge our differences and advance the Build Back Better bill, even in the face of fierce Republican opposition. Mark Kelly downplayed the severity of the delay of the bill. I don't think it's going to be before Christmas, Kelly said, but it shouldn't be. It should be when we're ready. It's likely to be one of the first things we take up after the holidays, he added. So they're going to try. They're going to continue to try off of this, but the CBO dashing this thing out to bits. Hey, it's paid for. No, it's not, says CBO. But they're going to continue to try to get it out there. I want to do this one before we do this one. Let's grab this one here from CBS. Senate parliamentarian rejects Democrats' latest immigration plan in spending bill. From Camilo Montoya Galvez. The official who interprets the Senate's rules said Thursday that Democrats can't include a provision in President Biden's social spending plan that would offer work permits to unauthorized immigrants, yet again thwarting Democratic efforts to pass a long-standing policy goal without Republican votes, according to the guidance obtained by CBS News. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough said a plan to allow 6.5 million immigrants living in the U.S. without legal status to apply for work permits or protections from deportation could not be passed through the budget reconciliation process. The process allows bills to be approved by a simple majority of senators rather than the 60-vote threshold needed to pass most legislation. As parliamentarian, McDonough is tasked with determining whether reconciliation proposals have a direct impact on the federal budget, a requirement for the procedure. She determined Democrats' latest proposal was not primarily related to the budget. Oh shit, Sherlock. These are substantial policy changes with lasting effects like those we previously considered and outweigh the budgetary impact, McDonough wrote in her opinion on Thursday. This is the third time McDonough has ruled against Democratic attempts to include an immigration relief provision for some of the country's estimated 11 million undocumented immigrants in the Build Back Bullshit package that Democratic lawmakers hope to push through the evenly split Senate in the next few weeks. To the dismay of progressive activists, the rejected proposal would not have placed the estimated 11 million immigrants living in the U.S. without authorization on a pathway to permanent status and citizenship, a policy Democrats and Mr. Biden have advocated for. But the plan to offer work authorization and deportation projections to a large segment of the undocumented population represent Democrats' clearest opportunity to pass some form of immigration relief before the razor-thin majority in Congress is threatened by the 2022 midterm elections. For weeks, progressive lawmakers and activists have urged senators to ignore the parliamentarian and those calls intensified Thursday, but it's unclear whether the necessary number of Democrat senators would vote to overrule her guidance. Yeah, that's a galling thought there, but it's one that's been coming out of Democrats, especially in this administration. We have rules that we have to live by? Oh, just ignore those rules. Hey, we have an eviction moratorium? The court says we can't do it anymore. Ignore that. Let's just do an eviction moratorium. OSHA mandate. We can't do an OSHA mandate, says the court. Do it anyway. Ignore it. I have the power. I'm the president. I'm the most popular president in history. And I write Daddy Barack. Joe. I believe you. I believe that you're the one. I couldn't get you to my 60th birthday party because they were watching me like a hawk. But I believe that you're going to be the one who does it all. I'm watching for you. I'm rooting for you. Joe, I believe in you. All right, now let's do this one here. Elizabeth Warren calls for expansion of the Supreme Court, saying current court is a threat to democracy. From Chandelis Duster. Hey, I want to wish you a happy Easter from the bottom of my heart. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren on Tuesday called for the U.S. Supreme Court to be expanded with more justices and said the current court threatens the democratic foundations of our nation. With each move, the court shows why it's important to restore America's faith in independent judiciary. Yeah, independent judiciary. And committed to the rule of law, Warren wrote in an opinion article published by the Boston Globe. To do that, I believe it's time for Congress yet again to use its constitutional authority to expand the number of justices on the Supreme Court. The Democrat wrote that she did not come to this conclusion lightly, or because she disagreed with a particular decision, but that she came to the conclusion because, well, she's losing. Because she believes the current court threatens the democratic foundations of our nation. Her call to expand the High Court, made up of 9 justices, comes less than a week after it left in place a Texas abortion law that bars the procedure after the first 6 weeks of pregnancy and after the public approval of the Supreme Court has dropped in recent months. The Supreme Court said the abortion providers have the right to challenge the law in federal court and that the case will return to a district court for further proceedings. The commission set up by President Joe Biden to explore changes to the Supreme Court concluded in a draft final report earlier this month that there was profound disagreement over whether to add more seats, but suggested more consensus for term limits for the justices without taking a final position on the issue. Other Democrats have called for more justices to be added to the High Court, which currently has a conservative majority, while Democratic leadership has opposed the effort. Earlier this year, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi indicated she did not support a bill, but at the time pushed by some Democrats to expand the court and did not intend to bring it to the House floor for a vote. Yeah, Pelosi, for all of her faults, is smart enough to realize that if they push this through, They are fucked in the midterms. They do not have the support to expand the Supreme Court and get away with it. And all of their purple Democrat friends in purple states will no longer be in the House after that. Because that is on its face a power grab. Republicans played by the rules, got their majority by the rules that were in place. They didn't have to change rules to do so. And they know what happened when Harry Reid changed the rules. Under W. They know what happened. They got their asses handed to them, and they lost out on 3 seats that they could have blocked by a filibuster. But there's no judicial filibuster anymore. They lost. And Republicans did nothing but play by the rules that got changed for them. Rules that were changed, by the way, to try to block Republicans from getting to this position. And if Nancy Pelosi knows that if they expand the Supreme Court right now, it is an unmitigated power grab. Because there's no support to do so. Now, if Roe gets overturned, there might actually be support for this, especially if the news media has anything to say about it. There might actually be support to go back and do this if Roe gets overturned. And they might get their expansion after that. But right now, there is no will to do so, and it is a power grab. All right, another one for Biden. Biden pulls out of $450,000 settlement talks with illegal aliens following GOP backlash. From Ryan Saavedra. President Biden's administration pulled out of a massive settlement talk this week for immigrants who illegally entered the U.S. under the previous admin and were separated from their families. But he didn't offer anything to the ones who illegally entered under his former boss's administration and were separated from their families. Or W's administration and were separated from their families. Or Bill's administration and were separated from their families. I think the media is wrong on that, Randy. That's the thing. I think there would be like 5 states that would do it. I think it would be Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, Texas, and Alabama. I think we'd see a lot more 15-week bans. I say that, but all the outrights, I think there would be 5. Realistically. But yes, I would be willing to bet right out that North Dakota, South Dakota, the Carolinas, Georgia probably, even though that's turning bluer, Florida most likely, would go to a 6 or a 15-week ban. I would see those. I could see that. Okay, that's not a Biden quote. Amid political outcry from Republican lawmakers after the settlement talks were reported, the government told the outside negotiators that the number would need to be lower, the Wall Street Journal reported. This week, the lawyers said the Justice Department pulled out of the negotiations entirely. The Wall Street Journal reported late October that the Biden admin was considering payments as high as $450,000 to every illegal alien who was separated from their family, which could amount to close to $1 million a family, though the final numbers could shift. The report from October said many families would likely get smaller payouts depending on their circumstances, but the total payout could be more than $1 billion. The move comes as the Biden admin works to resolve nearly 1,000 lawsuits that have so far been filed by families. How do you have a standing? Why were you separated from your children? Oh, I see. I broke the law. So why do you have standing? Because, man, the man on the TV told me that the former president was mean. No, this does not mean to be a thing. If you break the law and you bring children into it and break the law, not only should you be deported, but you should be, no matter what your country of origin is, not only should you be deported, but you should be deported straight to Haiti or straight to Guatemala or one of these other war-torn regions if you're going to bring your family into it. If you're going to put your family into that kind of struggle, that kind of danger, that is almost as heinous as the coyotes that rape the women that they're trafficking up here to try to get them across the border. From Politico, Sinema pops Democrats' filibuster trial balloon on voting rights. From Burgess Everett, Kyrsten Sinema supports the elections reform bill that Democrats are considering a year-end push to pass. She doesn't support a shortcut around the filibuster to get it done. The Arizona moderate, the Arizona left-wing extremist, is making it clear that she intends to keep protecting the Senate's 60-vote requirement on most legislation, and she isn't ready to entertain the changing rules to pass sweeping elections or voting legislation with a simple majority. Her Democratic colleagues have been discussing those revisions as they weigh dropping their focus on President Biden's $1.7 trillion climate and social spending bill and pivoting to voting rights, though it's not clear the avenue will be any more successful. In a statement to Politico, a spokesperson said that Sinema continues to support the Senate's 60-vote threshold to protect the country from repeated radical reversals in a federal policy, which would cement uncertainty, deepen divisions, and further erode Americans' confidence in our government. Since joining the Senate in 2019, Sinema has been a fierce defender of the filibuster and warned that reversing it could lead to terrible outcomes for Democrats down the line. Sinema continues to support the Freedom to Vote Act, which was negotiated with Manchin, as well as John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, even as she raises questions about how to pass those bills in an evenly divided Senate. Democratic senators have mostly focused on lobbying Manchin to try to sway him to pass elections legislation with a simple majority, but Sinema isn't there yet either. So, what legacy does the Biden admin have? They got the infrastructure bill, which I'm not 100% sure is going to last through the midterms. I've got this feeling that, especially if there's a filibuster-proof majority for Republicans, which is unlikely, given the makeup and the people who are up for election this year, is unlikely, but it's possible if they keep fucking up. That could get reversed. That money could go back to the Treasury over 10 years. I've got a feeling there's at least a call for it. But other than that, what's the legacy? What's actually happened here? Biden has pissed off progressives. He's deported people. He's made his progressive voters go back to start paying their student loans again. He failed on Build Back bullshit. The wall is still there. In fact, it might actually start getting completed. Remain in Mexico is still there. And we still have the pinko fucking pox. What legacy does he have at this point? From CNN. Childcare hiring crisis is closing programs and keeping parents out of the workforce. From Gabe Cohen. A hiring crisis is closing classrooms at Nursery Early Education in Boston. The nonprofit, which serves mostly low-income families, has seen its staff shrinking 30% during the pinko fucking pox pandemic. We cannot find enough educators who are willing to come into our classrooms, CEO Laura Pariel said, because they can earn a lot more money working anywhere other than childcare. Across the country, more than 10% of childcare workers have left the industry during the pandemic. Early on, they were driven out by temporary program closures and furloughs. Now the industry is weathering wage competition. Nationwide, the average childcare workers earns $12.24 an hour. They earn more than that in Boston, I promise you, because Boston's got a higher minimum wage than that. But far less than K-12 teachers and this competitive hiring market, other industries are raising wages and adding benefits to attract workers. This development time for children is the most critical in the human life cycle, and yet we're competing against other minimum wage jobs. National Association for the Education of Young Children, CEO Ryan Elvin said, you can make more money with a much less demanding job, and I'm talking about mixing milkshakes at a fast food restaurant. Then what's the incentive? The American Rescue Plan, passed by Congress in March, spent billions to boost wages and keep the childcare industry afloat, but several programs say the funds went only so far. Kara Turner, the founder of Primary Colors, an early education business in Durham, North Carolina. She used the relief funds to raise her staff wages more than $1 an hour, but she still can't find candidates. Her staff has shrunk 45%, forcing her to cut student capacity in half. It's almost like the workforce has dried up, Turner said. It's very scary. I don't know what's going to happen. Federal funds help Nursery raise wages $1 an hour, but Martin Ramos, a nursery teacher, still works a second job at Home Depot. Oh no, we are not going down that road. I could say something that could easily get me kicked off YouTube with that. We're not going down that road. I've been living paycheck to paycheck, Ramos said, and I was getting behind on my bills. With the staff shortage at nursery worsening, it's now taking 15% fewer students. They may sit on the wait list for the better part of 2022, Peril said. Across the U.S., roughly 10% of child care programs have closed, according to the Bipartisan Policy Center. Others are downsizing, and many parents are seeing prices rise and wait lists grow. And parents, predominantly women, can't go back to work, Alvin said. A recent survey found 84% of parents feel overwhelmed by the cost of childcare, and 20% have quit jobs because of it. The average cost of childcare nationwide is more than $10,000 per kid, according to a Child Care Awareness of America. For the average couple, that's roughly 10% of their income. For single parents, it's 35%. Rashana Reynolds became a stay-at-home mom when her son was born last year. She was making less than $40,000 a year in Seattle, which is about the equivalent of $5,000 a year anywhere else in the country. The childcare costs were more than we were paying in rent, Reynolds said. So I decided, hey, I have to quit my job. She and her husband are now trying to find a daycare so she can go back to work, but the wait lists are up to 2 years long. We can't find any childcare, she said. Nearly 3 million women, including hundreds of thousands of mothers, are still out of the workforce because of the pandemic. And it's really important in terms of job recovery going forward, ADP chief economist Neela Richardson said. The U.S. is losing trillions of dollars when women are not full participants in the labor market. Yeah, see about that. And now, of course, you see some raising wages too, because there's less competition for the same jobs, and there's more competition for the same workers. I never thought for a second that Democrat policy would lead us to a more trad home life. And yet here we are. It's something I would have liked to see happen voluntarily, but, here we are. Here it is. From WECT 6 out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Fallen service members to posthumously receive the Congressional Gold Medal under new law. From David Reuser, I'm sorry, that's not the author, that's the representative that co-sponsored the law. David Reuser co-sponsored the legislation. This is from John Evans. More than a dozen U.S. military members killed during the troop withdrawal in Afghanistan will posthumously receive the Congressional Gold Medal under a bill signed into law Thursday by President Biden. Rep. David Reuser was one of the original co-sponsors of the bill, H.R. 5142, introduced by Congresswoman Lisa McClain of Michigan and approved by a bipartisan margin in both the House and Senate. 11 Marines, 1 sailor, and 1 soldier died when a suicide bomber set off an explosion outside Hamid Karzai International Airport on August 26th. Under the new law, the Congressional Gold Medal will be awarded to Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, Sergeant Johanny Rosario Pichardo, Sergeant Nicole Gee, Corporal Hunter Lopez, Corporal Dagan Page, Corporal Humberto Sanchez, Corporal David Lee Espinoza, Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, Lance Corporal Riley McCollum, Lance Corporal Dylan Marola, Lance Corporal Kareem Niku, Hospitalman Maxton Soviak, and Staff Sergeant Ryan Noss. Wow, that unit had a lot of corporals in it. Army Staff Sergeant Noss was based at Fort Bragg, and Sergeant Nicole Gee was assigned to the 24th Marine Expeditionary Force based at Camp Lejeune. Which is cool. I'm glad that they were able to do this. Now, I found this because of the White House's Instagram post bragging about the fact that he was sitting here signing this. And I saw a lot of people pointing out the fact that, correctly by the way, the reason that this happened was because of the current president who was signing the legislation to do so, and was also going to get to have a parade and a ceremony as he awarded this to the people that are getting it. But here's my question. Mr. President, what kind of medal are the families of the children who were vaporized when you droned a U.S. contractor who was just carrying water to his car? What kind of medal are those people going to get? Can you explain that to me? Did they get a Congressional Gold Medal for walking through the park when you decided that that poor guy that worked for the U.S. for years looked kind of like a terrorist? And while he was just carrying water to his car. And now he is no more. What kind of medal is he getting? What kind of medal are those kids getting posthumously? Is there going to be any? I didn't think so. Here's one that Putz put. Was it Putz that put in the Discord? I think it was. I'm actually going to verify that. No, it was 4 a.m. Critter from over on the Real Off Hour server put it in there. From Real Clear Investigations, who is, it's not Green Check verified, but it is a fairly good source to go with. DC Bar restores convicted FBI Russiagate forger to good standing amid irregularities and leniency. This is from Paul Sperry of Real Clear Investigations, December 16, 2021. A former senior FBI lawyer who falsified a surveillance document in the Trump-Russia investigation has been restored as a member in good standing by the DC Bar, even though he is yet to finish serving out his probation as a convicted felon, according to disciplinary records obtained by Real Clear Investigations. The move is the latest in a series of exceptions the Bar has made for Kevin Kleinsmith, who pleaded guilty in August 2020 to doctoring an email he used to justify a surveillance warrant targeting former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Kleinsmith was sentenced to 12 months in probation last January, but the DC Bar did not seek his disbarment, as is customary after lawyers are convicted of serious crimes involving the administration of justice. In this case, it did not even initiate disciplinary proceedings against him until February of this year, 5 months after he pleaded guilty and 4 days after Real Clear Investigations first reported he had not been disciplined. After the negative publicity, the Bar temporarily suspended Kleinsmith pending a review and hearing. Then in September, the court that oversees the Bar and imposes sanctions agreed with the recommendation to let Kleinsmith off suspension with time served. The Bar, in turn, restored his status to active member in good standing. Before quietly making the decision, however, records indicate the Bar did not check with his probation officer to see if he had violated the terms of his sentence or if he had completed the community service requirement of volunteering 400 hours. Yeah, not shocked, not surprised. Not even surprised in the least. Swamp Creature's gonna Swamp Creature. He did what was right for the movement. So he can be forgiven for violating the law, even though he's a lawyer. From ABC News, Biden surveys beyond belief tornado damage in Kentucky, commits to federal aid. From Sarah Kolonowski, Justin Gomez, and Libby Cathy. President Biden on Wednesday surveyed the damage in Kentucky. He described as beyond belief and met with families in neighborhoods ravaged by deadly tornadoes last week. After Biden surveyed the destruction in Mayfield by air and then on the ground, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear later choked up when thanking Biden publicly and introducing him in Dawson Springs, where Biden had stopped and talked to families whose homes were destroyed, including a 12-year-old girl carrying an American flag in a neighborhood where nearly every tree had been uprooted. Hey! That looks like there used to be a house there. Where am I? Where's Jill? Wait, what do you mean Jill's in Wisconsin? Why the hell would anybody go to Wisconsin? Come on, man. Okay. Federal aid and such. Okay. I gotta poop now. Biden opened his remarks by reminding people used to travel to Dawson Springs for the city's healing waters, but Biden said, now it's our turn to help the entire town to heal. Oh no. No, he's by a kid. Oh no. No, he found a kid. Jeez, no.
Years old.
Oh no! No!
His favorite command coin. I told him, you give command coins to battlefield commanders. These are the battlefield.
Early Hall, right? Yeah. What's that? How do you spell that?
Oh gee! No!
R-A-Y-L-I-E-E.
R-A-Y-L-I-E. Hall.
You know, that was
Born and raised here.
Okay, guys, let's push back.
No! Keep him away from the kids, seriously. When he turned over to her, I thought for sure he was going in for a fucking sniff. I really did. He also offered condolences for those who lost someone and insisted something good must happen from the tragedy. I met with one couple on the way up, and they're still looking for 4 of their friends. They don't know where they are. On those who lost someone, there's no words for the pain of losing someone. A lot of us know it, Biden said. Keep the faith, Biden added. No one is walking away. We're in this for the long haul. Ahead of the remarks, Biden updated a presidential disaster declaration to boost federal disaster funds from 75% to 100% coverage for debris removal and emergency protective measures in Kentucky for a 30-day period. Earlier, before receiving a briefing from state and local officials in Kentucky on the impacts of the tornadoes and extreme weather, according to the White House, Biden vowed all the federal support he can provide to the area both now and for the months to come. So, and I mean, this is one of the situations. I would still rather it all come from the state, but that's just the way that I look at things from a local level. But this is a situation where they do need the help. There was no way to predict any of this. And we're not sitting here, we're not screaming about climate change, we're not talking about policy change. And yeah, I am mocking Biden for his affinity for kids, I get that, but for the most part, we're actually coming together off of this. It's time to come back out and do help, and we had the charities out there for Kentucky. I want to help out some of this as well, so I don't know if right now would be an apt time to throw together a telethon, but I mean, these are people that actually need some help, so definitely. And anybody who's given to a GoFundMe or another charity that I provided on Monday, absolutely. You guys rock. Absolutely. From the Associated Press, tornado hit factory sued. Workers said they couldn't leave. From Bruce Schreiner. I did not see the flick of the chest. Survivors of a tornado that leveled a Kentucky candle factory, killing 8 workers, have filed a lawsuit, claiming their employer demonstrated flagrant indifference by refusing to allow employees to go home early as the storm approached. As legal fallout from the catastrophic weather started surfacing, steady rainfall added to the survivors' misery as they picked through what remained of their homes. Roofers patched holes and cleanup crews removed massive piles of downed trees and other debris. Storm-stricken parts of western Kentucky could get up to 2 inches of rain by Sunday, officials said. It's not right for the people who've had their homes knocked down. They're trying to salvage it. Are now having all this rain on top of it, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear said Thursday. The lawsuit, filed in a state court late Wednesday, accuses the Mayfield Consumer Products Candle Production Company of violating Kentucky occupational safety and health workplace standards by keeping its staff at work despite the danger of death and injury. The lawsuit claims tornadoes were threatened with the lawsuit claims that workers were threatened with termination if they left in the hours before the tornado hit. The suit seeks compensatory and punitive damages. It's a straightforward claim, exactly what the statute was meant to address, Amos Jones, a Washington, D.C.-based attorney representing the employees, said by phone Thursday. Bob Bergeson, speaking on behalf of the company, located in the western Kentucky town of Mayfield, previously insisted that employees were free to leave any time, and he denied that they would have faced retribution if they left the factory. Bergeson did not immediately return phone calls seeking to comment on Thursday. The company CEO, Troy Probst, said in a statement Wednesday that the company was retaining an independent expert team to review the actions of managers and employees leading up to when the tornado struck the factory. Realistically, in spite of the fact that, yes, the hit on the factory claimed 8 people, usually a big industrial building like the candle factory is a safer place to be than at home. And I don't know what it is that the people thought they were going to be able to do to go back and save their houses when all this happened. I don't know what it was they expected to do. They thought maybe they could get into a storm cellar or something, or possibly else. But usually a big industrial building like that is the safest place to be, because they're usually constructed of brick and steel and don't move real well. Sometimes they do, as we saw with the Amazon warehouse. But also keep in mind, the parts that the tornado didn't touch were still standing in that building. It just took out the swath where the tornado went. It's little consolation to the families of the people that died, but typically, yeah, your big industrial centers are the safest place to be. So take that as you will. I'm sure that there's still probably going to be some payout that comes from this, but we'll see what happens with that. From CNN, Dominion Voting wins key decision in lawsuit against Fox News. From Caitlin Polantz, a judge in Delaware has found that Fox News' coverage of the election fraud after the 2020 election may have been inaccurate and is allowing a major defamation case against the right-wing TV network to move forward. Right-wing. So-called. Judge Eric Davis of the Delaware Superior Court declined to dismiss Dominion Voting Systems' lawsuit against Fox News in a significant ruling on Thursday. The ruling will now allow Dominion to attempt to unearth extensive communications within Fox News as they gather evidence for the case, and the company may be able to interview the network's top names under oath. At this stage, the court must assume Dominion's claims about Fox News are true. What do you want to bet coming into an election year, that this is just going to be a carte blanche warrant for them to investigate and find anything they can dig up for dirt coming into the election year? What do you want to bet that that's what this is? At this stage, the court must assume Dominion's claims about Fox News are true. Still, Davis called out in the 52-page opinion that Fox News may have slanted its coverage to push election fraud, knowing the accusations were wrong. Yes, nothing bad happened in the 2020 election. Everything was above board. Hong Kong. More votes than even Barack Obama. Hong Kong. Most popular president in history. So-called Hong Kong. Dominion alerted the network's anchors and executives to information that disproved accusations of widespread fraud, vote switching following Donald Trump's re-election loss, the judge noted. Nevertheless, Fox and its news personnel continued to report Dominion's purported connection to the election fraud claims, with also reporting on Dominion's emails, given that Fox News apparently refused to report contrary evidence, including evidence from the Department of Justice. The complaint allegations support the reasonable interference that Fox intended to keep Dominion's side of the story out of the narrative, the judge wrote. Honk, honk. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But there again, that's my big thing. It's the same concern that I have with the Selfie Fest Commission. that this isn't really about going and finding anything with that. This is about being able to do a carte blanche investigation of everything. And then leak details coming up ahead of a major election. Alright, we got about, what, 13 minutes left before we got to do some live chat here. And a nice big stack of stories still. From the Washington Post, where democracy goes to die in darkness. An Instacart driver saw an elderly couple's thin blue line flag, so she ran over their groceries, police say. From Jonathan Edwards. When an Instacart driver arrived at an elderly Minnesota couple's home last week, they expected to open the door to groceries. Instead, they found their order strewn about in the driveway, and a note tucked in the Christmas wreath on their front door. It denounced the law enforcement as police pigs and told the couple to find another slave. Oh my God. After reading the note, the couple looked towards the scattered groceries and realized the woman had run them over with her car. Elaine Police Chief Brian Podany gave the details of the December 6th incident at a news conference. Podany said the 36-year-old driver appears to have been upset by a sign in the couple's front yard praising his officers. The sign read, "Thank you, Blaine PD." The O replaced by a heart filled with a thin blue line flag. The flag is viewed by some as simply a sign of support for law enforcement, while others see it as a rebuke of the Black Lives Matter movement. We're in law enforcement. We get not everybody likes us, Podany said, and we understand that. But don't take that out on innocent people out there, especially people who are trying to contribute to this person's livelihood. On the night of December 5th, the couple used the online delivery app Instacart to purchase about $50 worth of groceries. Amber Gray wrote in an online fundraising post in which she identifies herself as a relative of the unnamed couple. The couple paid attention to Instacart's online alerts as they were notified of the shopping run's progress. The next morning, one popped up when the delivery driver was at the store, another when she finished, and a third when she was on her way, Gray note. While they got an alert saying the driver was in the neighborhood, the couple headed out to help her, afraid the car might get stuck in the snow. Once outside, they saw the woman rocking the car back and forth in the driveway and worried about their fears about her getting stuck had come true. Motion for her to get out of the car and come to them, Podany said at the news conference, and said the police chief said the driver yelled, telling them to check their Christmas wreath where they had found the note written on the back of the receipt. Podany read it aloud at the news conference. It says, "Instacart doesn't pay employees, find another slave, racist, and F the police pigs." After the driver took off, the couple discovered the groceries scattered in their driveway. She hadn't been stuck at all, Gray wrote, but she was running them over. The Instacart driver probably doesn't know how carefully those $50 in groceries were budgeted, or how devastating the recent medical diagnosis has been, or how scared or vulnerable her vile act of hatred made them feel, Gray wrote. Well, I mean, if I was Instacart, I would have sent the groceries back out. If I was the manager of the Instacart in that specific region, I would have been on the phone. Hey, first off, I would have been on the phone with the person and saying, take the app off your phone. You're not an Instacart driver anymore. That would have been the first thing. And the second thing, out of my pocket, that couple would have had a fresh batch of all the groceries that they'd already had, plus doubles of everything else that they had. They would have had $150 worth of groceries coming back to them. If I was the Instacart manager in that particular region. Now, I don't know what this guy did, but there wouldn't have been 2 hours that had gone by before they had their groceries in their house, plus all the extras that I put into there. That's vandalism. Although they are still investigating, Blaine police said they've identified the driver and could charge the woman with disorderly conduct and criminal damage to property. It's unfortunate something like this would happen, particularly at this time of year, Podany said. You know, this is the holiday season and we should be taking care of one another. What a piece of shit. Oh, I'm fucking serious too. That's horrible. How can you have that much hatred in your heart for something like that? I detest the organization BLM for what it is that they try to do. But if a guy with a BLM t-shirt came up and tried to give me a high five, I wouldn't leave him hanging. I wouldn't try to get into an argument with him, but I wouldn't leave him hanging either. Because we've got to have some sort of decency about all this. Yeah, there's the fact that's kind of threatening too, Quest, and the fact that this driver knows where this person lives on top of it. All right, Mike DeWine got in the news. Thank you highly for this one. Mike DeWine says he'll veto an Ohio bill that prohibits employers and schools from mandating vaccines. From Laura Hancock of Cleveland.com. I believe this is just a little shorty article here. Mike DeWine will have his veto pen ready if the legislature sends him a bill that would prohibit employers and schools from mandating the pinko fucking pox vaccine. House Bill 218, in addition to prohibiting mandates on vaccines not fully approved by the federal government, would provide wide exemptions for fully approved vaccines. Bye, DeWine. It's time for you to get voted out if this is the way that you're going to be off of this. If you're going to try to mandate things, instead of letting your state legislature, who represents the people, come back out and make the decision, well, we know what it's time for. Alright, what else do we have here? Some more Pinko Pox stuff. 'Cause we done, classic Poodle. Quote tweets. And I think that's a dude. I think I incorrectly called it a chick yesterday. I think that's a dude. Candace, a man whose wife won a court battle to treat his COVID-19 with ivermectin, dies a week after he received his first dose. F in the chat for the dude. 'Cause we done. Good. That guy seems pleasant. That guy seems like an upstanding person. And I'm not going to read the Daily Mail article because, I mean, we all know what the fear porn is going to be off of it. But I think that Johnny Micro's tweet bears repeating here. Daily Mail, their article that was off their mobile app. Omicron and Delta may strike people at the same time and combine to create an even worse COVID variant in the coming weeks, Moderna boss warns. Johnny Micro tweets out, we will of course call it the Voltron variant. Thank you, Johnny Micro. I like that, actually. That's really cool. Jim Cramer from CNBC. Government has the right to force you to obey. From Ben Ziesloft. I think we are going to... I think we're going to get through these Pinko Pox ones. We'll do the Melania Trump one too, and then we'll do live chat for the day. I know it'll be a little bit late, but we'll do those last ones and we'll get out of here. So let's see what Jim Cramer has to say from Ben Ziesloft. CNBC anchor Jim Cramer was slammed for arguing that the government has the right to force you to obey. The remarks come from Cramer, who has worked as an anchor with a financial news outlet for the past 2 decades, follow his previous arguments in favor of harsh COVID mitigation policies. Did he delete it? Oh, no, it's still there. Jim Cramer, government has a right to force you to obey and has always exercised it, especially under GOP. And Lauren Chen, tweets out in response, "You came out as a fascist a while ago, but I guess this is a more blatant way of admitting it." Conservatives and libertarians immediately refuted Kramer's arguments. "I missed the right to force you to obey in the Constitution, but go off," replied columnist Carol Markowitz. "Governments do not have rights, only individuals have rights," noted the Libertarian Party of Nevada. "Rights emerge from properties inherent to our existence. Their sources are humanity, and they're fundamental to the nature of our being. Rights cannot be granted by government because they pre-exist all governments." Hear, hear. "You came out as a fascist a while ago, but I guess this is a more blatant way of admitting it," added commentator Lauren Chen. On Thursday, Kramer responded that he's getting people furious over his pro-vaccine stand, and adding that those who disagree with him would be pro-polio in another area. No, I have a pro-vaccine stand. If you want to get a vaccine and you've assessed the risks, then go and get the vaccine. I ain't going to try and stand in your way. I ain't going to try and stop you. And hell, I'll give you a ride to the doctor's office if you have no other way to get there. I have a pro-vaccine stand. You have a pro-fascism stand. Kramer. Let's read this one. "I'm getting people furious on my pro-vax stand. I don't have a pro-vax stand. I have a stand to keep people healthy. You are anti-healthy if you are against me. You would have been pro-polio." This is like the patron saint of medicine, Saint Anthony of Fauci. If you work against me, if you work against Fauci, you're against the science. Don't be against the science. It's your religion now. And I am your saint in your religion. And for all the faults and all the people who are mad at her, Queen Josie of all the Liberty says, "If I got 3 shots of the polio vaccine and still got polio, I'd be anti-polio vaccine." You know, when you get it right, it doesn't matter what your previous arguments were. And that is exactly right. But don't worry, the government has the right to force you. All right, in foreign news, France to restrict travel from Britain to fight the Omicron variant. From Angela Charlton and Danica Kirka of the Associated Press. France will sharply restrict travel to and from Britain because of the fast-spreading cases of the Omicron variant, putting limits on reasons for traveling and requiring 48 hours isolation upon arrival, the government said on Thursday. The move suddenly disrupted travel plans for families and others on both sides of the English Channel. Travelers questioned whether the measures were politically driven, and UK officials suggested they were pointless. With Omicron now seeded around the world, red list travel bans wouldn't be effective or proportionate, said British Prime Minister Boris Johnson's spokesman Max Blaine. He said Johnson hadn't spoken to French President Emmanuel Macron about the move and that Britain doesn't plan to take a reciprocal measure. Yeah, see, that's the problem at this point. It's out there. It's gone. It's out of the bag. You can't stop it anymore. Let's just, especially if it's this light, let's just go out and get everybody good and infected. Let them fight off the weak version that doesn't have a lot of symptoms and one person in the world has died from. And then go back to our normal lives. But see, our normal lives doesn't give Big Pharma a bunch of money for both the jab and Pfizer-Mectin. This one's from our friends over at NPR. Did you donate to them last time? If you didn't, you'll have another chance. NPR, they need your money. They need your money so they can hire on the Air Force airmen who are refusing to get the vaccine. 27 of them, in fact. We can sit them all in front of quiet microphones and train them by electroshock to come out and spread communist ideals. Remember, NPR needs your money to do so. We'll give them a sort of conversion therapy to progressive ideas by electric shock. That would be acceptable, even though Mike Pence's idea wouldn't be. So, donate. to NPR. Never Printing Reality, National Progressive Radio. This comes to NPR via the Associated Press. The Air Force has discharged 27 people for refusing to get the pinko-pox jab, making them what officials believe are the first service members to be removed for disobeying the mandate to get the shots. The Air Force gave its forces until November 2nd to get the vaccine, and thousands have either refused or sought an exemption. An Air Force spokesperson, Ann Stefanik, said Monday that these are the first airmen to be administratively discharged for reasons involving the vaccine. She said all of them were in their first term of enlistment, so they were younger, lower-ranking personnel, and therefore at lower risk. And while the Air Force did not disclose what type of discharge a service member gets, legislation working its way through Congress limits the military to giving troops in vaccine refusal cases an honorable discharge or general discharge under honorable conditions. No, they want to have you with that black mark on your record because you wouldn't do what you were told. Now, once again, as a military member, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but you signed the contract and you have breached the contract if you don't get the vaccine that they tell you to do so. You are in breach of contract. I don't like it, but you are legally in breach of contract. So yes, a dishonorable discharge would be appropriate for the situation. I don't like it, but the legal terms of the contract for enlistment and the legal terms, or the terms of the U.S. legal system, are correct. And if we want to change them, we have to change those legal terms or change the contract. But you freely and fairly signed the contract that said, yes, I give you my body to save and defend the Constitution and the American people, up to including death. So, and it looks like it was, if I remember correctly, because they only talk about the 27 airmen in this article, but it was 27 airmen, 10 Marines, and 2 grunts, if I remember correctly. And I believe a half a dozen squids, too. So, that's what we have. All right, and the last one here, because we'll end on some good news, I think. From the New York Post. Melania Trump announces NFT in bid to help foster children. I don't know what an NFT is. From what I understand, it's just digital artwork that can't be reproduced. How is this any different than having a Monet in your office? Which I do not have, but I would like to have. But this is from Callie Pattison. Former First Lady Melania Trump announced a non-fungible token initiative on Wednesday, with parts of the proceeds going to support children aging out of the foster care system. Buyers can purchase Trump's first NFT, called Melania's Vision, anytime before the end of this month. The NFT is a watercolor done by artist Antony Coleman, which embodies Mrs. Trump's cobalt blue eyes, providing the collector with an amulet to inspire, according to the former First Lady's office. The digital artwork is being sold for 1 unit of SOL cryptocurrency, just over $180, and it includes an audio recording from Trump. I am proud to announce my new NFT endeavor, which embodies my passion for the arts and will support my ongoing commitment to children through my Be Best initiative, Melania said in a statement. Through this new technology-based platform, we will provide children computer science skills, including programming and software development, to thrive after they age out of the foster community. So, even though I don't completely understand an NFT, like I said, I think it is basically like the digital version of having a Monet or another piece of artwork and having the original piece rather than a print or something. Even though I don't understand what it is, if this is what it's going to be to help kids who've been in the foster system their whole lives and have no other prospects, get out there, get an apartment, get a job and stuff like that, then good. Get them out there into the workforce. There are people that are looking for people out there. And get these people out, living on their own. Teach them how to cook a little bit. Teach them how to throw some mac and cheese together. I kind of want some mac and cheese right now, by the way. Teach them how to throw some mac and cheese together. And get out there and live in the real world. So, that's what we have for that. And now, because it's Friday, it's time to do some live chat-a-rama. Like I said at the top of the show, by the way, you guys almost filled the notebook page today. If anybody had told 3 more friends about this program this week, and any day, because it would have shifted any one of these days, then we'd have a full notebook today. And I skipped because on Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday and Thursday streams, I had to go back and actually watch the streams to get the names because Restream was fucking up and not giving me, they only gave me the YouTube names off this, so I actually went through and watched the YouTube replay so I could get all your names off of this, and I did skip all of the vers.tech or whatever the fuck it is that they type in there. And I still got a full notebook, almost, on those 2 days. So thanks for that. Let's see if we can't get 3 more people in for next week. 3. On any one day, 3. 3 more people, 3 more names. Let's see if we can do it. But first, well, we'll get this up here. Let's see how far up to the top we go with this. Oh, come on. And Ron Helton started with us, says, good morning. Jay, bring the heat, Edgar, and fellow Ed heads. Randy, Crush Saga. Hello. Good morning, Ron. Should I just highlight all my chats today? Well, thank you for that. I don't know if I get bits for that or not, but, you know, it's a reward for you. And, I mean, I can come over here and see on the Twitch side what's highlighted. I do need to set up rewards for this. I just don't know what I can do with the restream. It's the only problem. Because, you know, this is the display that I get, what you see in front of you right now. That's the display I get, and it doesn't integrate with Twitch's reward program. I'd like to do something more for you guys for coming in and using the points. I just don't know how to do it. I'll think about this over the weekend, and I'll talk to maybe some of my more Twitch-savvy friends as well to see what we can do that'll still be, because that's the thing, is I have to be able to see it. And all I saw was that Randy was highlighting in the chat here. Because he pointed it out. I told one of them to try whining in Pokemon stream. I don't know who that is, but yeah, try that whining. Why won't they read the live chat? Or Hassan Piker. Or the Daily Wire or something like that. Alright, looking back throughout the week though. On Monday, we had Random Randy, Arvold, Katie Zed, Sully Blue popped in for a moment, Quest Fanning was here, MK Ultra, Chillaga 1984, Aimless Gamer, I Stand With Dan, Night Owl Right Here was here, Sylvia Hedges and Ruth Underwood rounded out our Monday. Tuesday, Quest Fanning, Ron Hilton, Random Randy. The Real Raging Clue was here for a little bit. Arvolt, Chillaga, Katie Zed, Nephilim Ninja of Nibiru, MK Ultra, and Carol Welch, which I think a couple of these at least were the Bears.tech ones. Wednesday brought us chats from Ron Hilton, Quest Fanning, Chillaga 1984, MK Ultra, Katie Zed, Lame Name Here, was here to troll leftists and chew bubblegum, but he was out of bubblegum. That's a shame. Did anybody get him some bubblegum, by the way? We also had Random Randy, Arvolt, Marie Maybe Golay, and William Vibe. Yesterday was a busy day. Thank you guys for that. Yesterday was Ron Helton, Chillaga 1984, Random Randy, Quest Fanning, Bo 10, Spartan 0000, Superior 1, 80s Kid, Katie Zed. There was a long just character's name in there, CJD, and I actually wrote it in the notebook here. CJD ... etc. Because there were like 30 characters in his name, and they were just random letters going back and forth over and over. But he did say that we needed to be nicer to China. China. MK Ultra was here. Beam me up, Mr. Scott, which we've got to tip our hats and give a nice warm mazel tov to Beam Me Up, Mr. Scott, because through adoption, he found out that he did actually have another sister that he didn't know about. At nearly 40, he found out that he had a sister. So that's always an exciting bit of news. Expanding families are always great. And Arvolt rounded out yesterday's program as well. So today, as I mentioned at the top of the show, first off, congratulations to Beam Me Up, Mr. Scott, and happy birthday to both Seawall728 and Quest Fanning. Happy birthday to both of you. Apparently you guys share a birthday. And you'll be sharing lunch together in a couple weeks too. So that's awesome. What else do we have going on here? Ron Helton says, yes, happy birthday to Seawall and Quest Fanning. Ron Helton jumped over on the Twitch side and watched a commercial. Thank you, Ron Helton. My afternoons and evenings are pretty busy lately. I think the keyboard on the laptop is about worn out. It happens that way sometimes. I don't know if I've ever worn the keys. No, I have worn the keys out on one because the corded one that I have no idea where the hell I put that. But the corded one I have, actually, the P key doesn't work. So I need a new corded one. I just use the rechargeable cordless one with a mechanical key set on it right now because they don't wear out as fast. When you're gaming, it helps out a lot to have the mechanical one. I know it's noisy, I understand. That drives me nuts too. But it has some more longevity, plus it's rechargeable. Chilaga is here. Randy says we have Olive Garden takeout last night, which the last time I was on a Discord call with Random Randy. When he jumped in when I was still able to do so at work. When he jumped in for that, he was sitting outside the Olive Garden waiting for his meal. That was the last time I talked to voice with Random Randy. Where is the birthday boy? He popped up a little bit later. Takeout with a side order of Koof. Let's see, what else do we have here? Randy says, it's funny because it's true, neither that time or last night was my suggestion. Ben Wild says, don't be dissing on Olive Garden unless you want the fists. Thank you, Ben Wild. Randy, I can only send 445 more highlighted messages for now. And that's where I noticed that you were highlighting messages. Ron says, it's been years since I last went to Olive Garden. The nearest one to me is 30 miles in a blue boob area. The nearest one to me is outside of the dealership where I bought not this truck that I have now, but the one before that. And they will swap your pasta for broccoli if you ask them nicely. And it's really good. Shilaga says, ever hear people make the argument, Olive Garden is not real Italian food? It's not. It's really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not real Italian food. Randy, shh, you're exposing the goddamn business. This guy, he said it'll end. Ron says, this morning there was an article on the Google News feed that said the jabs and boosters don't work for the new variant. In another article beneath that one, Fauci says, get your jabs and boosters for the new variant. Yeah. Ben Wild says, Fauci diddles his butt and scratches his eye. You can tell I need some more sleep, says Ron Helton. Katie Z is here. Katie Z, it looks like she's back home. Randy says, more importantly, did you use the app to avoid the poop in the streets? Is that up only for San Francisco? I think they might have one for Los Angeles. Made me think of how nobody uses Fortnite anymore. I tried to play Fortnite for about 2 weeks. You guys ever play before? Have you ever seen the video where the guy makes the airsoft gun that shoots him in the back every time he gets shot in Fortnite? And it's Bluetooth controlled. It's funny. If it wasn't so close and I had to get to work, I would actually show it. It's funny. I'd show it at double speed, but it's really funny. Do we want to become famous? BigFollows.com. Do we want to follow Mr. Dick's link? Mr. Dick 2211. I could use some followers, primes, and viewers on BigFollows.com. That's a perfectly safe and legitimate link, right? Right? Ben Wild says, wait till this vax gets to the Supreme Court and Justice Roberts decides the vax is a tax and thus legit. Well, yeah, I mean, they sound the same. Ron says, when they kill a bunch of us with their mandates, is it oops, we're sorry? They need to be held on murder charges, every evil one of them. Because you know Justice Butt Diddles. Randy says they forgot years of them saying tricking jobs are going to disappear. I think he meant trucking jobs, but I think tricking jobs are on the rise right now. I think that one's going up. I think they're maybe a few. Well, no, they're not really turning tricks anymore. Now they're just doing it on OnlyFans. Should I start an OnlyFans? Maybe I'll get Shu to follow me on OnlyFans. Should I ask Shu out, you guys? Should I do that? Should that be a thing? J. Edgar and Shu, together forever, with a big heart and an arrow through it. On one hand, I'm telling you, if her and I got together, I think because of our polar oppositeness, as soon as our lips touched each other, the fabric of time and space would start to unravel. It would start to disconnect. It might just be local. It might just be our solar system and a few others around us. But, I mean, the actual fabric of the universe could unravel because of how polar opposite we are coming together. But on the other hand, she's really cute. Ron Helt says, these snakes can either admit their natural immunity is now playing a part in keeping people from getting deathly ill. I have been exposed multiple times since getting sick in February of 2020. What are the conflicts with the channel's moderation settings? I have no idea. I didn't set anything for that. But apparently you can't say trannies on Twitch. Apparently that's a thing. In spite of the fact that's been the vernacular for car transmissions for 70 years. But I guess you probably can't say bundle of sticks on Twitch either. Or the vernacular for that. Or the vernacular, the slang that they use in Britain for cigarette. Sometimes. I thought about saying that one in a British accent, but I'm pretty sure that would get picked up by Twitch. I'm pretty sure I can't get away with that one. The intention of the founders on interstate commerce was to keep the peace between the state. It was not to give the government authority over all aspects of commerce. Penwild says, saying a certain large online retailer won't use trucks with manual... Oh, wait, I called transmissions. Okay, yeah. So do not discuss car transmissions here. This is the world we live in. Yeah, Twitch doesn't like car channels. Sadly, I was raised in a time when cars had more personality than a Honda Accord. Farewell, Build Back Better. We will miss you. Just think of all the people that are going to die now. Ron hopes that it's dead. Just a free for all these Congress animals and their buddies. Randy, I wonder if that still pops up if you did donate. Ron Helton, quoting Biden, says, as your senator from Ukraine, I want to wish you a happy Easter. I'll sing if I want to. This is my channel. I'm not going to do it now, but I will. Randy, according to the media, 26 states would ban abortion, therefore they couldn't possibly have the support that they needed. Imagine making the argument the majority thinks one way, and then that's why we need the minority to force them into it. That's fair. That's actually a fair point. in spite of the fact that I don't think it would be 26 states. I think it would be like 5. Oh, I'm sure they're wrong. They just used it to justify their case. No elections case had standing, but illegals do. It makes sense if you don't think about it. Quest Fannings here. Good morning. And the government did not separate children from the parents, and it was found out later that they were traffickers in children. Nope, they have to verify that they actually belong with those people. Trafficking is a thing. Quest Fanning went to bed late and slept in. Good thing he has the day off. Lots of happy birthdays going to Quest. We didn't see any seawall in here today, though, unfortunately. Quest says, I skipped the scrap metal segment. What's copper these days? Maybe give that to the kids. It is up on the average, so that could be. President Poopy Pants, says Ron Helton. Quest, did he just flick her chest? Now I am curious, by the way. I have to see if he did that or not. Where was that one? It's only 30 seconds. We gotta watch this one, because now that it's been pointed out again, now that I've seen it again, now I gotta see.
12 years old.
What's her name?
His favorite command coin. I told him, give command coins to battlefield commanders. She's in the battlefield.
Bailey Hall, right? Here.
Was it this?
She's in the battlefield.
No, he didn't touch her chest on that one.
Right? Here. What's her back? How do you spell Railey? R-A-I-L.
R-A-Y-L-I-E-E.
R-A-Y-L-I-E. Hall.
You know that.
Born and raised here.
Okay, guys, let's push back.
I didn't see a flick of the chest, but there again, I was sitting there watching to see if you leaned in for the sniff or not. Ron says, we had some strong straight winds here. If it wasn't tied down, it went flying here. Well, maybe they had children or pets they wanted to leave the area with that. Yeah, that could be. Quest says, lots of honks here, but I won't use a racial slur. Yeah, don't do that. Quest says, there's a reason for dismissal with cause is an Instacart can fire him and provide zero unemployment compensation. Ron says, I guess Instacart immediately fired that dummy. Thundering and raining down here. Great. Hope it doesn't start freezing. I want to leave the house today. He'd be ineligible for state unemployment funds, too. Yeah, he would. Dock that guy's last paycheck. Quest says, it's kind of threatening, too. Wouldn't you be frightened if someone was motoring in their lawn? Not quite as bad as the delivery driver who was dumping packages in the woods because he didn't want to deliver them. Why take the job and not do it as trained? Wage slave, says Quest Fanning. Yeah. And like I said, too, I mean, this guy knows that there's the thin blue line sign outside the house and knows where these people live now. Can the legislature impeach and remove DeWine? I don't know if Ohio does an impeachment or a recall. Or if they just have to vote him out next time. Quest says, DeWine drank the Kool-Aid. Ron says, yeah, because they waited too long and he was already half dead. Apparently, Fanning has met Kramer in person. He's not as tall as he looks on camera. So he must set his camera low. That could be. Quest says, an opinion, not medical advice. Isn't Omicron so mild that's basically an airborne vaccine? Kind of. I don't know. Non-fungible token, like crypto, but unique. Monet money. Ron Helton says, the jab is the virus. Imagine after all the bad drugs that these companies have been sued over, that people still believe in them. Well, they didn't believe in them. That was the thing. They didn't believe in them until recently. Until this vaccine came out. All of these companies were evil until this vaccine came out. You know, like full-on Tim Pool. Goldberg! Evil! Evil! These companies are evil, man! Quest Fanning says, they're crazy, Ron. Full-on NPC. I watched some streams of people playing Fortnite. Never played it myself. Whoever didn't get my Fortnite joke is sus. Well, that was me. Tricking jobs are going up. Perfect wording. Arvel says, if you can make her a trad wife, I'm for it. No shoe and pregnant. Nice. Randy says, you probably can't say it verbally on your stream either. What, trannies? No, probably not. Like I said, in spite of the fact that is the vernacular for a car's transmission forever. Or for forever. When I first started hearing people talking about that, I was so confused too, because that's what I've always called a transmission. And I didn't realize that's what they call a transsexual person. It made sense, but I didn't realize that. I was naive. I grew up in the country. 80s kid said there was a big fight on the train yesterday in the UK. A guy screaming at people for not wearing masks. He got his ass kicked and thrown off the train by police. Hear, hear. Hold on. So, here's the thing with the Restream bot and everything else coming out here. You can see it on the screen, what Ron Helton said. We used to stick blank by hand when I was younger. I probably shouldn't be saying that on Twitch as much as I have. But if we bring the Twitch chat over here, let me bring that over here. That's what it showed on the Twitch side. They actually started out from the Restream bot over on Twitch. I am getting a warning from Twitch tomorrow if I'm not kicked off entirely. I'm probably going to have I've already probably got the email at this point. And because the Instagram stream is going, I haven't checked my phone. Poof, says Marie. Maybe Goulet. Quest says, good 80s kid. Time to stand up to the hypochondriacs and stop letting them run our lives. A fortnight is 2 weeks. Ah! Now I get it. You guys ever play Fortnite? Alright. I think that it's time. Oh, someone filmed the train fight on his cell phone. You can see it online. 80s kid, if you're in the Discord, which the message right above you has a link to the Discord, put that in my Discord and we will run that on Monday's show. I am definitely interested in running that one. Especially if it comes out of England, because you can tell what the fight language is going to be too. Oi! Oi, mate! Cheerio! Oh, knock him out! Take some time! Blog that blodged in his noggin! Flog him! Get him off the tube! Alright, let's finish out here before I have A, no audience left, or B, I'm kicked off of Twitch. Because I got a feeling that's going to be coming at the end of this one here. We have taken you off of Twitch for hateful language. Where's my outro music? Question of all time, where's my outro music? Oh yeah, that's right. I got an update, so I had to restart last night. So it's not up yet. But where is it? There it is. So, thanks everybody who came by, chatted in the live chat, hung out with us, kept us honest, kept us going off of this, and discussed the transmission with the word that is illegal apparently on Twitch. We're going to head back here. We're going to head out of here for the day, but I'll be back here. Let's hang out. Let's do something this weekend. I don't know what we're going to do yet because I can't throw together And across the board, I know that. We could maybe do calls, maybe we could do some video games, I don't know. Oh, I gotta make bell peppers and beef. That's what I gotta do, because I promised once Cowboy Bebop came out, we would make some bell peppers and beef. But we'll figure out what's going on there. I am trying to scrounge up some money and save some money because of a trip I'm trying to take here. So I'm trying to not spend a bunch of money right now, so that might be a thing too. But regardless, we're gonna head out of here for the day, and we will be back here definitely on Monday morning for more contemporary, more news headlines, and Monday night for Rachel Nix on the Red Ned Show. That is going to be an amazing stream. One of the funniest people I've ever met in my life, and she's going to be up on the screen with us here. So come back out, hang out with us Monday morning or Monday night, or both. Definitely, you're welcome to come back in and both, and come and hang out and discuss either what happened through the weekend or through the week as well. And make sure you guys go check out turnsofpagesproductions.com and the new fundraiser that's coming up. So with that, I'm going to sign off for the weekend. Thank you everybody who chatted in the live chat, and we'll see you next time. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.